Welcome to Biz Tips with Jenny Rice, bringing you insights from real entrepreneurs. No fluff, just raw, practical strategies from those who've been in the trenches. Whether you're launching, scaling, or pivoting, this podcast is your backstage pass to lessons, successes, and game-changing tips. Get ready to learn, take action, and level up. Let's dive in with our next guest.
Hi, this is Jenny Rice with Biz Tips Podcast. I'm so very excited about our guest today. We have Sola Adenkan, who's the founder of Messianes Body Care. Welcome, Sola.
Hi, thank you for having me, Jenny.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have you here. So let's start with a little bit about your background and where you're at right now, because I think it'd be really interesting.
Oh, thank you. Well, a little bit about myself. I've always just been an entrepreneur, and I've really been but an entrepreneur that is a social impact entrepreneur. My life is, I've have a pretty varied experience, but right now my main focus is on my body care company, Messianes Body Care. I started the company really because in my other life, I'm a filmmaker, and I was shooting and producing an immigration documentary with my co-producer. And unbeknownst to me, she was going through a domestic violence situation with her children. We had to put the documentary sort of on hold while she handled that. And she ended up being arrested for kidnapping her children. And I actually witnessed this arrest happen. And so I realized that she was going to need resources, capital resources to, fight her abuser. And so I started Messianes to support her, Rosario, and to raise money for her legal fees initially. And that was 3 years ago. And her case is still pending, and we're still fighting for her freedom and for her children in Oklahoma. But along that journey, I realized how big of a problem domestic violence is in the society. And I started the brand not to just have another like cosmetic brand or body care line, but a brand with a purpose, a brand with a mission, hence the name Messianes in Spanish. Messianes means missions. My mom's Cuban, and so it's an homage to her heritage, and because she is such a strong woman, and I am deeply in awe of my mother. And so started really Messianes to raise money for Rosario, but also to really holistically attack what it means to be a domestic violence survivor and change the narrative around that. So I looked at my supply chain line, and I asked myself, is there a way I can incorporate survivors into this company in a more meaningful way rather than just giving money to organizations? And one of my vendor partners introduced me to a farming cooperative based in Nigeria and Ghana. And most of the women who are in this farming cooperative who produce like the parkai trees, which are known in layman's term as like the shea butter nuts. Most of them were domestic violence survivors. And in Nigeria and Ghana, there's like obviously limited resources in terms of resources survivors can turn to for help. And so I looked at the statistics, and the number one reason why people stay in these toxic relationships is due to economics. The person trying to leave usually has been financially like oppressed, and they end up staying because of that financial oppression. And I realized that this is the key, economic empowerment. So started to incorporate this farming cooperative into my supply chain. And I wanted to do more and too as well. And so I have also branched out and opened up a brick and mortar location on the West Coast in Oregon, in Cannon Beach to be specific. In our store, we not only carry Messianes Body Care, but we also carry other CPG brands that are domestic violence survivor founded and led. My goal is to really create a viable commerce platform, both in the physical sense and also digitally as well. Because people, when they think about domestic violence survivors, they think of us as like charity cases, and that isn't the case. Some of the most prominent organizations out there that are providing services for survivors, or those that might use economic empowerment as like a tool, they're all charities. And, survivors, we are resilient and we are scrappy. We know what we need to do because failure isn't an option, right? Because otherwise we're going back to where we were. And so this has been my driving mission for this company, is to really create a holistic ecosystem for survivors, from the supply chain to the consumer, right? The end consumer. And so that's really the vision and where we're growing.
What an amazing story that you've taken your life experiences and turn them into a blessing for other people and a mission, inspired by your mother and helping your friend in Oklahoma, but doing so much more. Now you've expanded to Ghana and Nigeria. You're running a business, but like you said, a mission-filled business where you're creating great products, but the supply chain, the outcome, everything, the impact is so much more. It must be so rewarding at the end of each day to say, I've made a difference today, right?
Yes, I do. I feel that, but I also feel a sense of urgency because, every single day, someone's life is impacted by this issue too, as well.
Yes, yes, I know. I read stats and statistics and different things on how prevalent this is, not only in North America, but other third world countries and things like that. And it's got to stop, and it stops with one woman, one family at a time, right?
Exactly.
So tell me more about you running your business, because you've got a high mission, you've got a big why. But how is it, like, tell me a little bit more about the day-to-day operations and how you include people and what you do, because I think you mentioned a couple of grants you're getting and support with that too.
Yes. So I recently found out that my company was selected as one of 11 globally to receive venture funding from the Coralus Fund. Coralus is based in Toronto, Canada, and was started by a well-known venture capitalist, Vicky Saunders. And, her philosophy is all centered around ripples of generosity in supporting women entrepreneurs who are changing the system, right? System changers. And so I just felt deeply honored to that my little company was recognized amongst other 10 other companies worldwide that that the community thought were system changers. So in terms of day-to-day operations, I look at the approach to tackling the awareness around domestic violence and the products on an intergenerational basis. So not only do I have the supply chain side, I'm also launching an entrepreneurship apprenticeship program. And my first uh, apprentice will be here in a few weeks. She just recently graduated from USC with honors, and I've been coaching her on launching her own brick and mortar because she loved the model that I have here with mission driven products. And there's also a coffee bar in the brick and mortar too. And so she wanted to mimic something similar in Los Angeles. So she'll be up here to learn, pretty much the ins and outs of running on a day-to-day basis a brick and mortar, everything from inventory management to vendor sourcing to just like, customer service, as well as like marketing strategies to grow, awareness locally around the physical brick and mortar, but also like the brand itself too as well. So I'm really excited about, her name's Cameron. I'm really excited about her coming on board for this apprenticeship launch.
And do you kind of see this as a vision of doing more like franchisees in a way? So to get more
Yes,
people out there?
I've actually been thinking a lot about that. And this could be an excellent opportunity to explore that in the near future.
That'd be great because then everybody benefits, the end consumer, the women running it,
Yes,
right? And the people that are
exactly.
producing the products. Like it's such a win-win-win-win-win all around. I love it. I love it. It's
Yes.
great.
Thank
So
you.
what challenges have you faced as a business owner in this type of arena? Because it's a very unique business type that you're in.
Well, um, a lot of times people get glamorized being an entrepreneur because we see all the shows out there that present this facade, right? But when you're an entrepreneur, you have to be scrappy if you want to make it to the next day, right? And truth be told, I started the brick and mortar with like my last couple of $1,000 I had left because, you know, my personal situation with my son's father had escalated and you know, I had to take certain measures. And so I wasn't sure how I was actually going to be able to open up the brick and mortar, but I thought to myself, you know, I think I'm smart enough. I'm scrappy enough. I can figure this out. And so to me, that was the biggest challenge. How do you take a few $1,000s and then open up an entire store? And the great thing is that I'm very, you know, well aware of financing and net billing cycles and all of that. And so I was able to source a lot of the brands. Was able to source a lot of them by entering into really great like financing relationships with the brands. And so I was able to fill my store with inventory that way. And then the balance of what I had left, I was able to incorporate, you know, like the other side of the store, the coffees and the you know, everyday grocery items. I still to this day can't believe I did it, but
It's running and it's going well. That's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, you said you sound very scrappy, but you've also learned from that you can then
Yes.
teach other people. If you decide to go to more openings across the nation, then you can sort of say, hey, I've tested this. I failed at this, but I learned from it. And now this is what works, right?
Yes, exactly.
Which is amazing. Okay. Well, as we end this podcast, do you have any tips for other owners, maybe in a mission, you know, build business that can help other listeners here?
Yes, if you're positioning your business as a impact business, it's really important to think about the holistic picture of the mission in which your business is centered around. How can the questions I ask myself daily, how can I make the most impact with what I have? And that's what I would say to other mission-driven entrepreneurs. What is the impact that you can make, even if you had your last dollar? What is a holistic impact that you can make? Whether it's the personnel that you hire, whether it's the ingredients that you source, whether you have policies that you're developing for your brand around that, like what are you doing that beyond just yourself, beyond just the business, that is creating a ripple of impact?
That's great.
Beyond your circle.
So it's not just what you do here now, but it's the downstream, the ripple, like you said, the impact, which is great.
Yes.
Very well said. Well, it's been great having you as a guest in this. I've learned something, been inspired by you. So thank you. And I really support you in your mission and what you're doing and your reasoning behind it. And I can't wait to hear more about how you're supporting more people and creating more success.
Oh, thank you very much, Jenny.
Yeah,
I really appreciate you having me.
Yeah, thank you for being a guest. This is Jenny Rice signing off with my very special guest, Charlotte. Thank you again.
Thank you, Jenny.
That's a wrap on this episode of Biz Tips. For more insights, join us online. We share exclusive tips, resources, and strategies to help you grow and scale your business. Until next time, keep building, innovating, and making an impact.